exercises to promote that 360-degree breath. One is laying on your back, one is in sideline position, and then one is in more of a child's pose position. So I have a soft roller, I have a pillow, and then I have these little sticky mats, but for you at home it could be like a folded hand towel. So we'll start by laying on our backs. I like a pillow underneath my head so that my neck is comfortable and I don't feel too closed through the front of my neck. And we're going to use our hands here as long as it's comfortable for your shoulder. So you're going to take one hand to the low belly and then one hand to your low back. What we're going to visualize to get that deeper breathing pattern is I like to visualize a river as I inhale. I think of a river flowing down, so the river is my breath and it's moving down towards like the basin of my pelvis, so it kind of fills into my pelvic floor. And so when we inhale, our diaphragm moves down, right? It pulls air in, and our pelvic floor also descends, moves down. And as we exhale, we want to think of that lifting up and our breath flowing back out. So that hand behind the low back can just give you a little more connection into your posterior side of the body. When we breathe, we want to get the back of the ribs to expand and the side of the ribs to expand. And so we'll do 2 exercises for each of those. And the reason we want that is because our diaphragm attaches to the rib cage, and so therefore the ribs need to move on our inhalation and our exhalation. So I have my front hand on my belly just to make sure I'm not doing all of it into my hand. Instead, I kind of think of the front and back of my body pulling apart. I kind of think of like a balloon expanding, or I think of like 2 kind of sticky pieces of plastic being pulled apart, like a little blow up floaty. So from here, I'm going to try to see if I can get my breath to go down. I'm going to breathe into the hand on my low back. And I'm going to exhale out as fully as I can. So exhale, maybe go a little longer than you think it should. And here I'm just trying to see if there's any movement at all into my hand. So I'm going to even take my hand off of my belly, just see if I can feel any breath into my low back. And I'm getting a little bit. So if you're having a hard time like I am, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to now imprint my spine. So I have a little more pressure into my hand, and I'm tightening my abdominals. And I'm going to keep a little bit of tension into my abs, and I'm going to try that 3 more times. Then inhale. And that was already better for me. And then exhale out. And again, an inhale. Exhaling out. And last time here, inhale. And exhaling. And I'm just going to release my pelvis back to neutral. So with each breath, it might not be perfect. We're just going to try to again promote the breath not coming up to the ears, or the ribs just flaring, or the belly just moving. We're going to try to get our breath to move into the backs and sides of the rib cage. So now our sideline position, I'm going to take these little sticky mats and roll this up. If that last exercise, if you didn't like your hand underneath your back, you could have put the pads there. I should have said that. But I'm going to take this underneath my side ribs. And what that will do is it'll give me just a little bit of space underneath my waist. So if I kind of tuck my shirt in, you'll see that I'm not collapsing completely onto my side. And you can kind of just adjust where that is, where it feels a little more comfortable. But it's going to give me some tactile feedback for actually trying to breathe into these bottom ribs. So then I'm going to take my top arm and I'm just going to reach it forward and away from me. So I'm just kind of moving my scapula a little more into protraction. And then I'm gonna take my bottom hand and try to reach it across. Now I have long arms, this is harder if your arms are shorter. And so what I wanna do now is I'm trying to promote definitely that posterior expansion, but also some side expansion as well. So I'll take again an inhale breath. And an exhale, nice and long, trying to get that breath out. Now I scooted my knees a little bit closer. If your legs are down here, your back is gonna be a little more arched, so pulling your knees up into you, your waist, and feeling just a little more curve through the low back can be great. So again, I'm taking an inhale, and an exhale, out. Try not to let my shoulder just come up to my ear. And exhale. One more time, let's switch to do the other side, inhaling. And exhaling. Out. So I had a little harder time breathing into that top side. So I'm gonna now switch. And this is just something you can do before any of these workouts, is you could just take a few moments to work on getting your breath to move down into the back and sides of the ribs, trying to feel a little bit of pelvic floor expansion on your inhale. We'll do that, we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next breath. So from here again, I'm gonna take my top arm long. My knees are a little bit past 90, so I'm a little rounder through my low back. I've got my side waist just gently lifted. I'm gonna take my top arm forward and my bottom arm around the back of my ribs. And from here, I'm gonna again take an inhale breath through my nose. And an exhale out. And I'm trying to feel my rib cage lifting into my hand, filling my hand up. So again, inhaling. And exhaling out. You want to see if you can also get some of that low back expansion we found in that first exercise. Inhale. A little bit easier on this side. Exhale out. We'll do this just one more time. Taking a breath in. And exhaling completely out. So third exercise is in child's pose, and I'm going to use my really soft foam roller, but you could also use the pillow, so I'll kind of show you how to do both. Now I typically like something underneath my arms, so I'm going to grab this platform extender from my reformer and place it in front of me. You could roll up your mat, or you could put the pillow underneath you should you be using a foam roller. So I'm going to show you with the foam roller. It kind of comes here, and I try to lift my rib cage up and over. It's a little harder if you have a shorter torso, so you might end up needing to use a pillow or a bolster instead. What this is going to do is it's going to keep my ribs kind of curled back a little bit, and it's going to let me be aware when I'm really just kind of breathing only into my rib cage. So I'm going to take my forearms down. You can see I'm in this really round back position, so I'm working on expanding those areas that are sometimes tighter for a lot of people. Now, if flexion is not kind to your spine, you're not going to do this exercise. You're going to stick with those first two. So I have my hands down, my forearms down. I like my palms up because it just feels a little more, I get a little more external rotation at my shoulder. And I'm thinking of just kind of dropping my shoulders down, right? So I don't want to feel like I'm up into my traps. I want to just settle down, and I really reach my head through my arms. Okay, so now trying to get that breath to go into the back, and also feeling almost a little bit of expansion down into the pelvic floor. So I'm going to inhale through my nose, and then exhale. Try to get all of that air out. Exhale. Again, seeing what you can feel moving. Do you feel like your ribs really want to push forward? And then very last time. then coming all the way up. Okay, so those are 3 exercises to help you get a little more lateral and posterior expansion of the ribs. What I want you to think about is it's not that we don't want the front of the ribs to move, we just don't want them to rock up and back and flare. So you can see as I inhale just into the front of my ribs, right? My breath is really kind of going this way, and you can see my back, my ribs really open to the front. You can see my back is archy now. So I'm just tightening up muscles that for a lot of us are already tight and don't get a lot of expansion. And so just a little bit of flexion, kind of getting the rib cage to move posteriorly without a lot of gripping through the abs, can help open some areas that are really tight. You'll have to figure out the comfort level in your body with these ones. And I typically try not to do more than 5 or 6 breaths per, because I start to feel a little light added. But hopefully those are helpful for you, maybe a nice way to kind of prep your body before any of the videos in this playlist. Okay, enjoy.